Hey y'all, this is Curtis Grimes, and I want to give a shout out and a special thank you to everyone associated with TNCRadio.live.
Welcome in, TNC Radio.live. This is Keep On Talkin' Live with your host, Tom Kyrk.
Hey, Tom, thank you very much. The counter of knowledge is now open. Well, we got two main rules here. Actually, we're going to go with three main rules here. We don't talk politics unless it relates directly to trucking. We don't discuss religion, and we don't call each other names. So politicians, as long as we keep it PG rated, they're fair game. But other than that, we try to keep friendly here at the Counter of Knowledge. After all, we got to share the roads out there and be friends and support each other as brothers and sisters out there on the road. One of the topics that has been kind of semi-hot in the news lately is the discussion of truck stops and how they've been changing, particularly since the pandemic, but even before then, that we've seen the decline of sit-down restaurants. The mom-and-pop truck stops are going by the wayside. Some of the chapels are going away. The New York Times has recently written an article on this, as well as James Gilboy from The Drive. And with some recent conversations that I've had from some friends of mine, one of the things we've all realized is everybody seems to be more tense since the pandemic for a variety of reasons. And a lot of it is services that drivers use and we used to take for granted aren't as readily available. We've been running very hard, and we've forgotten that it's important to stop and take time for ourselves. So tonight, what I want to do is discuss a little bit of the importance of A, taking care of ourselves, but B, ways we can do it out on the road, and maybe some places that we don't always think of that are great resources for some of those places, whether it's for maybe a dinner out or a weekend or something that we can do just to get us out of the trucks and release some stress. Because after all, you can kind of tell when you're getting cranky and need that break. But we're going to open up the phone lines here. We're going to bring in a good friend of ours, Ken Freeman. So, Ken, how are you doing today?
Lovely, man. Finest frog hair.
Hey, that's great to hear. And you know what? I just realized I forgot something important. If you're listening in and you want to join the conversation tonight, you can call in at 706-TNC-0. That's 706-862-8620. The phone lines are open and we got some space available for you tonight. So, Ken, I know just in case people have forgotten from when you've called in before, about how long have you been driving?
25 years, Tom. I think I'm actually coming up on a 25-year anniversary, if I'm not mistaken. Too long.
Well, that's cool to hear. So you've been out here for a little while. And now, have you been over the roads the entire time, or how does that work?
Yes, I have. I've been over the road. I actually ran a propane route, a local route, just servicing people's home accounts, residential accounts for about 7 or 8 years, and then just honestly had to have more money. So I went on and upgraded my license, and fortunately fell in with a good company and have been with that company the entire time. And that's the story of me going on the road.
Hey, that works. What I'm going to do here is real quick. I'm also going to bring in Jess Graham, and we're going to finish talk a little bit more to you. But Jess, I'm opening up your phone line here. Hey, Ken. So what are some of the things that you do to try to, I know you're fortunate in that you get home fairly regularly. You're out for a few days at a time before you go back. But what are some of the things that you do when you're out on the road and you're having one of those days to try to relax, or if you get stuck out there on an unplanned weekend out, just so you don't kind of lose your mind, so to speak?
Well, fortunately, Tom, for me, it's music. That's what I started doing. I speak from experience on this topic. That's one of the reasons I wanted to call in tonight. About 8 or 10 years ago, man, I was just at a point where I was really spiraling. I was sick to death of the road and everything about it. And my wife convinced me to dust off the guitar and bring it with me. And that kind of got me kick-started and kind of got my ducks back in a row and life back in order. And I wanted the point I wanted to get across with, I know a lot of people there, some people say, well, I don't play music. I don't write. I don't do these things. But with me, it was doing something. You have to do something with your time out here. And I just decided that I set myself a goal. I was going to learn how to play 5 songs, just cover tunes. And that occupied my time. And started having a little more fun with it. And I thought, well, okay, maybe I need to record these and put them on YouTube. But I didn't know how. So that gave me something else to do. And that is kind of the way I've dealt with it ever since then. And I've got a really good friend who stops along the road. He's 70 years old, and all of these things that we drive by every day, he does a little bit of research with Google, and he stops and checks it out, takes pictures, and writes a little bit on Facebook about it. But I think it's really an individual thing, depending on your personality, but my point being is you've got to find some little something to focus on, and you'd be amazed how fast you can burn up some time and begin to get your mind calm down and, kind of back in order again. I don't know if that made any sense at all or if I just sound like a complete idiot rambling on, but that was kind of what I wanted to say.
Hey, Ken, that sounds like some of the stuff that I say. So if you're a complete idiot, you're in great company, because that includes me too. And Jess, not a word out of your mouth about either one of us, because I already know what you think.
I thought I was coming on to actually have a good conversation, but I mean, if you want to know where to get out of the truck because it's hotter than heck and my bottom biscuits are sweaty, always looking for something to do. Definitely look into now that my daughter's grown, I've got a lot more. I mean, once they're off and on their own, you'd be amazed at the bags and bags of money you have, especially if you have a low overhead like I do. So, I have always, for about 5 years, set aside money, even as a company driver, direct deposit, so that I always had a little bit of side money that if I wanted to stop or if I had a 34 somewhere, I could take a taxi and go and walk around on Bourbon Street, or go through Nashville and listen to some music, or the Riverwalk in San Antonio. Just learned over the years that having that available, even if it's just getting a hotel somewhere and not looking at the same 4 walls of your truck, is my biggest thing. But I personally, I only pull enough freight to take vacations. That's where I'm at in my life.
Yeah, and I know it must be such a sacrifice to take that annual vacation to Belize.
Annual? It's like triannual. I don't know. It's quarterly.
Okay, it works.
I'm trying. Yeah, I decided that I'm only going to work 40 weeks out of the year and no more. My partner, he brags about working 51 out of 52 weeks out of the year, and I'm like, I'm sorry that I complete the same amount of work as you in 40 weeks. Maybe you should drive your truck a little bit more. Maybe drive on a weekend. But yeah, I like to be able to drive for 3 months and then go take 2-3 weeks, fly home, checking to see if they found the bathroom on my house yet, or if it's still lost somewhere on the island. My roof's there, so there's that.
That's important. And Jess, something I want to talk about real quick here before we go to a break. I think you're one of the ones we were talking back, a few days ago about the importance of being that tourist. And Ken, you were talking a little bit about that too. Ken, before we take a break here, and I'm going to let you go to bring on some other people, why don't you give us maybe 1 or 2 of your favorite places to stop? And Jess, same for you. And Jess, we'll keep you on. And I think we're going to bring on Jerry here next.
Well, Tom, believe it or not, for me, it's not a specific place, or I don't really have a particular place. I tend to find that a lot of the welcome centers at the state lines are really nicely landscaped and clean, great walking paths on them. And with me just getting out of that truck, putting a little music on or not, just being quiet and just taking a nice walk, that, to me, that is just tremendous. It's not any one particular place for me. I guess maybe I'm a little different. I just need someplace quiet, something to kind of calm me down and unwind me,
And that makes a lot of sense. Jess, if you had to pick one or two places real quick here, what would they be?
Well, my broker knows there's 3 loads I'm never going to refuse. One is to Georgia so I can get my truck work done. One is to Michigan so I can visit my sisters, my best friend, and my new grandbaby. And Louisiana, New Orleans. I know a secret hidey hole to park my truck, and I will get out and I'll take a 34 there every single time I pass through.
Hey, and that's a great way. And we'll talk a little bit maybe more about different places you can get a truck that maybe drivers don't always think of here coming up after this. But stay tuned. The Counter of Knowledge is open where the coffee's cold, the pie's lousy, but the conversation is always hot. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this on tncradio.live.
You're listening to tncradio.live. Remember to tune in to the Truckers Network radio show with Shelley Johnson weekdays at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern.
Finding the right healthcare plan and insurance agent can be a challenge. Truck driving can be a dangerous job, and drivers expose themselves to unique health risks. Health insurance is an expensive but necessary expense for truck drivers. It helps protect them from unexpected high medical costs. Although truck drivers should have a health plan, many don't. Some trucking companies offer health plans for truck drivers, but if you're an owner-operator or an independent contractor, you might have to find your own health insurance policy. The Truckers Network proudly partners with the Health Plan Partner to help our members learn about the options they have for health insurance. The Health Plan Partner is dedicated to helping members of the Truckers Network find and learn about what's available to them in the marketplace. Since 1985, the Health Plan Partner has helped their clients figure out the health insurance maze we're in. Here are 6 tips from the Health Plan Partner for finding the right health plan and agent for truck drivers. Review your options with an experienced agent that specializes in health plans and can guide you in the right direction, even if it's not a plan they offer. Determine your budget. There are options for any budget, but the adage is true. You get what you pay for, so beware. Have a list of your doctors, medications, and any health history. Some plans do require a health history. Review your current plan annually if you have one to see if there are better options and rates available. Plans can change constantly. Have the plans explained to you in detail and ask a lot of questions and role-play various situations. Quite a few times we only find out what the plan doesn't cover when we need it. Again, find an agent you feel comfortable with. You need to be able to trust them and call for guidance and questions anytime. With over 25 years of experience, Health Plan Partner wants to help truckers find the right health insurance plan.
Catch Landline Now every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, along with an encore presentation weekdays at noon, right here on tncradio.live.
Welcome back in, tncradio.live. This is Keep On Talkin' Live. And here's your host, Tom Kyrk.
Hey, thank you very much, Tom. And we're back here at the Counter of Knowledge doing a little bit of table trucking tonight, sharing some thoughts and ideas about ways to relax out on the road, take care of yourself, maybe some favorite stops, especially since the pandemic. It's been sometimes difficult to find some of these places where we can go ahead and do that. And one of the articles that I mentioned here during the first segment, which is from The Drive by James Gilboy, if you want to go take a look at it, it's called Truck Stops Are in Decline and Truckers Are Suffering. He also links to some of the other articles I've mentioned a little bit. And he covers a whole bunch of things in there. It's nothing in depth, but it's a great article for people who are not familiar with the trucking industry to say, hey, these are some of the problems right now that our drivers are facing. So if you want to check that out, that's definitely a good article. Anyways, we still got Jess Graham with us here. Ken Freeman had to go do a little bit of trucking. And Jerry Fritz is on with us tonight. How are you doing, Jerry?
No, not too bad, Tom.
Hey, glad you can join us here.
Listen to the previous two callers, and I admire their perspective on things. I was one of the classic, maybe it's because that was my generation, that focused a lot on work. I never really had hobbies. But at the same time, I was fortunate enough to really enjoy my work. And I found it interesting enough, you know how I am. I dig into the numbers and the statistics and so on and so forth. I kind of like making a plan to see if it's to work here, to work there. I like the math and the whole thing. So that became my work and, in a way, my hobby. Now, one of the things you're talking about, relaxing out on the road, and this did affect, by the way, before I went off road, retired about a year ago, was the truck stop restaurants closing down. Now, I understand why they were. They just weren't making any money in the restaurants or anything. But at the same token, when I had a weekend off somewhere, at one of my favorite truck stops, it was pretty good and I enjoyed it because of the kind of a human thing. I could go in and sit at the counter, wait a while. The counter is like an open forum, the truck stop. I really enjoyed teaching the business science other drivers, especially if they're owner-operators or people who may be interested in it. And at the same time, one of my unique things is the generation that I came up in is far different than it is now. And it's kind of like, to the new people today, I guess the people that said left, it's like the Old West. They just enjoy hearing the stories of what it was like and what we did and how we operated and so on and so forth. So I could get really absorbed, spend an afternoon. And I guess as good as, don't take this as bragging, but there were times, the people knew me a little bit for Sirius Radio, where I kind of, did the same thing with the history and the business science and so on and so forth. They figure, this is Jerry. I've had times, when it kind of all wound down after 3 or 4 hours or so. I'd ask the waitress for my check if she's somebody else paid it. Or one day up in Illinois, my gosh, this guy wanted to take a picture with me and, things like that. So I thought, it felt good to be able to help other people maybe reach their potential. I don't have all the answers. I know it pretty much worked for me. And introduce them to new, you'll hear in the industry all the time, per mile, per mile, per mile. Well, it only take me a few minutes or so, and I could get them into thinking about their per day revenue is just as important as per mile. And you don't hear anyone else even speaking about how the cost of time, what your costs are, your revenue, and so on and so forth, relative to time. And to my way of thinking, that is a big hole in the thinking on the owner-operator side of the industry and even the driver side, because they have fixed costs at home.
Definitely.
So here I am, and I'll wrap it. Yeah. I'll kind of wrap it up here, Tom.
That's a great conversation that will go into more depth here in the coming weeks, both on my show and on our and I think that's one of the topics we're going to be talking about on our business show, Mind Your Trucking Business here. But yeah, in the next, I don't know, want to say exactly when those hosts are going to be covering that, but yeah, continue on. Sorry about that.
Sure. Now, actually, I had seen all these places I wanted to go when I retired, right? I mean, right now it's bothering me. Henry's Lake, Idaho, and places up in Oregon and Montana. And I'm sitting here and I can see them as I'm talking to you. They've been going by there for decades. Oh, someday. Well, guess what? And I was in great health. I mean, when I went to have a blood test taken, the blood panel didn't have any little reds on it or anything. I'm doing good. I'm fit, physically fit. At 72 years old, I could do push-ups, Tom. You see me do it. So
yes,
in the end, though, next thing you know, I had what turns out now to be 4 major health events that most people die from. So now all of a sudden, all that ability to do that, and even with the present economic situation of the inflation, gas is going to $5 a gallon. That's all gone. So I'm going to be one of the ones that's man enough to say, I postponed it too long. I didn't fit things in like Ken and Jess did. I put them off, but I had a plan. And even my health. I mean, 30 days before I brought a new tractor trailer, I didn't think anything of my health. I'm going to go another 3 years. Well, 2 heart attacks, 2 pulmonary embolisms, and all that kind of stuff. So now I'm going to be man enough to say, I think I regret doing it the way I did it. However, I really can't assign myself that criticism because it made so much sense. Everything I had feared was all right.
Yep.
And here it is. So now, even if I took the money, I got the money. If I took the money to do what I was going to do physically, I can't. And I'm not going to say depressing. It's very disappointing. Yeah.
And I can definitely understand and see that. So I think one of the takeaways is don't give up opportunities or pass by opportunities, particularly if you got a long weekend someplace. Something that I've been wanting to do and it just hasn't worked out because of various loads or whatever. But Breezewood, PA, exit 160 off the turnpike, if you park there at the TA, not very far up from there is part of the old abandoned PA turnpike where you can go and walk up there and kind of walk down that a ways and see some of the old abandoned tunnels. Now, you want to take a flashlight and some things like that with you because they're not lit. But that's something I remember reading about a few years and something, it just hasn't worked out. I've been able to stop other places in PA and do things, but just since I learned about it, I haven't been able to stop there and do that one yet. But that's definitely on my list of things I want to do. And, there's other places for me like the San Antonio Riverwalk. Uber and Lyft has given drivers a lot of ability to go and do things that maybe we haven't before. And making things a little more accessible to us, particularly since the pandemic and since some of those restaurants are closed. Hey, it's an excuse to get out, walk, get something good to eat, etc. So, Jerry, we got another minute or so here. So before I let you go and bring on some other callers, if you had a place or a recommendation that you could tell drivers, hey, I want you to go out and see this, or this is a place I wish I could see that I think you would really enjoy. What are a couple of those places?
Wow, Tom, I don't know. And I've run all 50 states and all of Canada. Just offhand, I don't know, to be quite honest with you, Tom. I know there's places, by the way, on that tunnels in the Pennsylvania Turnpike, I wish I'd have known that. I used to go through those old tunnels when I was just a kid with my dad back in the 1950s when there were only one lane in and out of the tunnels. I wish I'd have known that, yeah. I just don't know, Tom. There's so much to see.
There really is. And I think that's maybe the thing is, too, if you've got a weekend, take a look at Google Maps, see what's near you, flip a coin, see if there's an event nearby. Just get out there. Facebook, you can still look up events on that are in your area. Just do something. Get away from that truck stop for a little bit, whether it's a hotel or whatever. But we're going to go ahead and take a break here. Thank you so much for joining us, Jerry. And hopefully you've inspired some people to take a few minutes and take better care of themselves and to enjoy some things out there. We'll be back with more. Keep on talking live. Right after this, stay tuned here on TNCRadio.live.
Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hotshot Secret, powered by science.
The late, great Mark Twain once said, "Quitting smoking is easy. I've done it hundreds of times." Well, there are many behaviors that people try to quit. They try to change, and they end up reverting back to that same old self-destructive behavior. That's not just about smoking and drinking. That's even about leaving an abusive partner in a domestic violence situation. Sometimes people have to leave 7 and 8 times before they leave for good. You know, earlier in my career, when someone wanted to quit smoking, I would make sure that they were totally committed in every possible way because I didn't want them to fail. Because in my mind, if they failed, they would associate quitting with failing and then they wouldn't try anymore. But I was wrong. According to the research, we are to encourage people, keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. Because one of these times, we're going to quit for good.
I'm Hope Savara. Join us on tncradio.live at 7 p.m. Eastern with Building Strong Minds with your host, Dr. Christopher Cortman.
Welcome back in. This is Keep On Talking Live with your host, Tom Kyrk.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, and thank you, Tom. I really appreciate Jerry calling in and sharing some of his experiences out there. There's a driver whose name I'm not going to mention tonight, but he indirectly, he's my brother from another mother, a great friend of mine, and he's over the years seen me get stressed out. One of the ones that has encouraged me to find these things to do, things that I'm passionate about that helps me relax, things like that, and a lesson that he has taught me is, as a drivers, we work hard, but if you work hard, you better play hard. And, you know, when it comes to playing hard, Jess Graham, is there anybody that plays much harder than you?
Oh, I don't think so. I take it as a personal challenge. If somebody wants to outfun me, yeah. I mean, me and Jacinda spent a weekend drinking margaritas in the pool, and then we were like, hey, you know what's less than an hour drive away is the Redneck Rave, so let's stop on there. It was just something that popped up. We're like, we should do this, and we had a blast. It's just when you meet up with your trucking friends out here, and you end up just like, I think it's more fun to make your connection of friends so that you guys can cross paths, and, you know, it's more fun to get out and do something with somebody else, and we don't get that socialization because we're always just running the miles. One of my favorite stops, like, I feel like I know where all the casinos are that have truck parking, not necessarily because I like to gamble, but I like to eat. And so if you want a better restaurant than a McDonald's, you're going to get it at a casino. And a lot of them have perks cards just for drivers and driver extras. So I know Buffalo Run is like my favorite stop, and I will always make sure I stop there because they have a driver's lounge that is not attached to the casino or the hotel. It's the little farmhouse off to the side, and inside it's staffed all day from I think 6 or 7 a.m. to like 10 p.m. $10, you haul your laundry, and $10 a load, they will wash your laundry for you. $10, you will have the best shower you could ever dream. It's like you could have a tea party. Those showers are so big. Not telling you how many people we fit, but I think it is a record. But like they just rolled out the amenities, and they did this when COVID hit in the beginning because they saw us begging for anything when the country shut down all services for us. They're like, we got to do something. So they moved their HR staff back into the big building and turned that whole building. That farmhouse is a driver's lounge. They have a fire pit in the back. If you tell them you're there, you want to light the fire pit, they'll light that. There's computer, there's TVs with couches to recline, and just you don't even have to go into the casino. You can literally order your food and security will pick it up and drive it to the driver's lounge for you. But if you get there and the lounge is closed, you can actually go over to the hotel, and they have dedicated rooms that drivers can go in and still take their shower and if they need a shower while they're there. And a lot of them have, I know, like Choctaw and Durant has a day pass because they have one of the most amazing pool complexes in that brand new ginormous expanded resort. And so you can lay around by the pool, they've got massive amount of restaurants, bowling alley, movie theater. I used to actually stop there with Halima because, having a kid out on the road, it's hard to find something. So we would go in and we would bowl and we would eat and we would watch a movie or 5, however many we could watch, and it gave us something to do that was not just, sitting in the truck. So I really, sorry, one more. Theme parks. Check out the theme parks because you've got like Adventureland over there in Alatoona outside of Des Moines. Truck parking right next door at the Prairie Meadows. You could walk over. Disney, I think Universal. You can park your trucks in by the buses for the day and go into the parks, but you can't camp overnight. But Disney will make accommodations for your trucks if you need to drop your trailer at somewhere. They'll put it. You can put it at Fort Wilderness and then bobtail over to whatever hotel if you're going to stay at a hotel. So they really do make sure that they accommodate drivers, and Universal does a lot too. It's just calling these places and say, hey, I'm in a big truck. I've got downtime. Can you accommodate me? And a lot of these places I found, if I can't pull straight in, they will know what's the closest truck stop to them or what I can do, or they'll actually try and help you out.
Yeah, and I know like Turning Stone Casino, I've done that up in New York State and a few other places. So those are definitely great resources. Thanks so much, Jess. We got a bunch of other callers here. I want to make sure we get time for them tonight. Thank you very much. And we'll talk to you again here soon at the Counter Knowledge.
All right, later.
Hey, Christine, Granny, thank you two so much for joining us tonight. Dutch, I see you on deck. We'll be with you here in a couple of minutes. So let's start off with you, Christine. What are some of the ways that you relax out on the road or maybe some things you've heard about tonight you'd like to comment on?
When I'm done and the tank's at a tank wash, I will bobtail. If I'm in Florida, I bobtail the beach. One of my favorite places. Doesn't cost anything. I can park right on A1A, spend the day down there, spend the weekend down there. Savannah, like Jess, New Orleans, always New Orleans. I have family all over the country. So depending on where I'm going, once the tank is being dropped, I am free, all duty free, and we are going to do, whatever we do. We spend a lot of time with family. Food is my favorite. I actually was highly disappointed today. I went to and stopped in at the new Tiger because they remodeled the Tiger. What I didn't know is they've shut down the cafe.
Really?
It is, yes. The cafe is now dismantled. They're in the process of tearing it down. My mantra today was etouffee. That's what I had a taste for. And by God, I wasn't getting it. I did get boudin balls today, but that was about it. Basically, they've turned it into a regular old truck stop. We've got fried chicken. The boudin balls, we've got, anything that's fried is in there. And some of the stuff, you know, we got some red beans and rice, but nothing like the cafe had. I was highly disappointed. So again, one of our favorites is officially toast.
Wow. And I knew they had sold it because, you know, of all the issues they had there, you know, after the tiger passing away and the woman biting the camel and all that other stuff. I know they had there. And the other thing that's kind of sad is that just down the street was the Frog City Truck Stop and Cafe. They closed that cafe, I believe it was before the pandemic. But if you do get down on that route again, Gabe's Cajun Food is right straight across the street from that Silver's Travel Plaza and that Frog City Casino there in Rain, Louisiana. Yes. And I am told that the people that run Gabe's Cajun Food are the same one that used to run the restaurant right across the street in the truck stop.
We're going to have to try that because I was so disappointed today.
I did stop by there once a couple of years ago at that's food to go, and it was pretty good. So I'm not saying it's as good as the old Tiger Truck Stop Cafe, but hey, it's definitely a good option. Hey, Granny, how are you doing this evening? We got just a minute here. What's one of your favorite places to eat at? And then we'll get back here.
What was that, Tom? I can barely hear you.
What's one of your favorite places to eat at there, Terry?
Geez. I can't say eating. There's a diner on the way out to California, one of those 50s in Vern. And I've been sitting here trying to remember the name of the town. And of course, it's not coming to me this moment. But I do want to say one of my favorite. Yes, that's it. But one of my favorite places to go is in Laplace, Louisiana. There's a Pilot, and if you park at that Pilot, drop your trailer, you can bobtail over and go on like a swamp tour boat, and just to get out of the truck. And then behind the Pilot, there's this nice walkway you can walk along. Anything to me that's where I can walk, like paths, walking trails, take the dog and go for a walk. To me, that's my enjoyment. Out of the truck is just the nature. Winter or summer, it doesn't matter. I love being outdoors.
And that sounds great. So you know what, Granny, we're going to pause right here. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back here, finish up with you and Christine, as well as bring Dutch on. Thank you very much, everybody. You're listening to Keep On Talking Live. We'll be back right after this.
Hey, drivers. Did you hear music on TNCRadio.live that you really liked? Or maybe you heard us interview an author of a book you'd like to read or listen to. You can get the books, music, and other products you hear about by going to our website at www.tncradio.live and clicking on the shopping cart.
This blog on tncradio.live is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. 4 truck driving jobs for drivers under 21. So you just turned 18 and you're ready to find a job as a truck driver. But why is it so difficult? According to the United States federal law, a person must be 21 years old to drive a commercial vehicle in interstate commerce. Although you can obtain a CDL by the age of 18, you'll be limited to driving intrastate, and most trucking companies only hire drivers who are 21 years old or older. Also, insurance rates are much higher for trucking companies that employ drivers under the age of 21. But that doesn't mean there aren't truck driving jobs available before you turn 21. There are many jobs you can qualify for at just 18 years old. Although the majority of the truck driving jobs will be within your state lines, it's still a good idea to get your foot in the door and get a few years of experience before you turn 21. Under 21 Pilot Program. The FMCSA launched an Under 21 pilot program that helps Reserve and National Guard members ages 18, 19, and 20 explore civilian trucking careers. Commercial truck drivers are in high demand, and this program helps trucking companies hire disciplined and experienced drivers. For more information, visit www.fmcsa.gov/under21 military-drivers-info. Towing and recovery. Driving a tow truck is typically an intrastate job, While there's no age restriction, besides being 18 years old, some companies may still require you to be 21. Check with some of your local towing companies and ask what the age requirements are. Local delivery driver. Working as a local delivery driver is a great way to gain experience in your trucking career. You could start working for a local store or warehouse and deliver goods right to a customer's door. Here are a few places you can look for local delivery jobs: furniture stores, lumber yards, office supply stores. Dump truck driver. Driving a dump truck may not be your dream job, but it gets your foot in the door, and you can work close to home. Most local businesses will need dump truck drivers to move building materials, dirt, garbage, or other freight. Most truck driving jobs won't become available until you're 21, but you don't have to wait until then to start gaining experience. Getting a few years of experience on your resume before applying for big trucking companies will help during the hiring process. This blog on tncradio.live is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
Do you feel like you're facing more than just the physical road ahead of you? Are you wondering if there's more to life? Join Ron Fraser, the host of Truckers Life Radio, every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, where he discusses the spiritual side of a driver's life. On the show, he goes through the spiritual and moral questions drivers face on a daily basis, helping you, the driver, as you travel life's highway.
Welcome back in. This is tncradio.live, and this is Keep On Talkin'. And now here's your host, Tom Kyrk.
Hey, Tom, thank you very much. We're back here at the Counter of Knowledge for our final segment. Flo has just started flashing the lights saying we need to wrap it up so we can get the Counter of Knowledge cleaned up for our next show here. But we've got a few minutes here, and we're going to be talking with Dutch, some more with Granny and Christine. Granny, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes here because we didn't get to talk to you too much here in that last segment. I know you suggested a few of the places you like to get out of the truck and do anything. Are there some other things you like to do that helps you keep your mind? I got a feeling one of them might be painting.
Yeah, you know me well, Tom. I'm doing it right now as we speak. A couple years ago, I got involved in a group called Trucking Rocks for Fun, the number 4. And it's a lot of us drivers, men and women, who paint rocks, and we leave them all over the country just to bring a little joy to other drivers. And we leave them in, four-wheeler areas too, but we try to concentrate on drivers. I also have started painting canvases and a lot of abstract art to raise money for animal rescue programs. So I do that when I'm home. However, there is some stuff I do on the truck, smaller canvases. I'll do a lot of sketching, but rocks are kind of my thing. I get specialty rocks ordered in from Athens, Greece, Santorini stones. I get honeycomb rocks from a mine in Utah. And I also, I take a lot of orders. I get a lot of custom work and sell them for the animal rescue programs as well. So it really does keep me busy out here. It gives me something to do when I'm stopped. And if the weather is not conducive to night walking or, it gives back to the community, the truckers. We hear a lot of really positive stuff from drivers. One lady was going to commit suicide that same night that she found one of the rocks, and she said it saved her life. So it's amazing what one rock can do. So if anybody wants to check it out, it's hashtag TR, the number 4F. You're welcome to join us. It's an amazing thing we do to help other drivers just bring a smile in our world of sadness right now. So that's kind of what I do. And play with my dog.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. So, Dutch, thank you for joining us. I believe this is your first time calling into the show. How are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Why don't you tell us, since this is your first time, a little bit about yourself real quick, how many years you've been driving, maybe what you haul, and then some of the things that you do out here on the road to try to relax and have some fun.
Well, my name is Robert, a.k.a. Dutch Aronson. I've been driving on the road for about 19 years now. I haul a dry van, and basically anything that goes in the dry van I haul. I drive 48 states. drive 50 yet, but I'm trying to. And things I like to do for fun, social media. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you figure out how to drive to Hawaii, let me know.
I wish. That'd be nice. I wouldn't come back.
Amen.
I would not come back. But the things I like to do for fun out here on the road is photography. I have a TikTok, and sometimes I like to do videos of, like, when I was out in Colorado, Arizona. I like to make it interesting. I don't know, ever since I was small, I've had this eye for photography. I had this one picture, no lie, I did from a throwaway camera when I went to, my family's from Amsterdam, so I went to Amsterdam, and they had this place where there's a bunch of rows of windmills, and out of the blue, I took a picture, not even thinking about it, and my friend saw it. He goes, "You used to send to a magazine," and it got posted in this magazine when I was like 14 years old. And it was like a competition. I got like third place. And it was from a throwaway camera. So I want to get back into it, really. I just use my phone now more than anything else. I try to find pictures, but it's hard to take a picture of a dirty windshield. And it's very hard. So I'm trying to find places where I can go. I want to go to, I heard there's falls in Oregon, that somewhere up there by Portland. I forget what it's called, but you can actually stop there, and I want to be able to take pictures of that. I want to do more sightseeing. I like nature, like TJ Granny said. She likes nature. I like nature. I like being out there in the open. I mean, I would like to stop more places, but as you know, as a truck driver, it's kind of hard because my loads are more time restrictive. I have more of a time restraint on my load, so I got to go. I got to make that money because I'm a lease operator, so I can't just stop and say, okay, I can take it on a 34-hour restart. I could, but most of the time you can't plan it. You run out of time, and you're like, what can I do? Uber's going to cost me $70 to get to this place where it's about 10 miles away or whatever. But like I heard the other guy say, Uber does help out a lot. I mean, I've ran bikes before and gone biking around the area. This was long when I was working for a company, not doing my own. But I would rent a bike and bike around the area and then return the bike, or I would take an Uber to a restaurant like where was it, in Dustin, Texas, I think it is. And there's a truck stop there, and people say, "Oh, the food is great there." I never heard of the place. You pay $10, not bad. You park there, it's safe. And you go across the way, and I think it's off of 35, if I'm not correct. And I think it's called Dustin's or something. And there's a restaurant there and bar, and I would go in there if I was once I was on my 34-hour restart there, I went to the bar there, and I asked the bartender, I said, "Where's there to go good here?" He goes, "Well, you ever heard of this place?" I was like, "No." So I went to another restaurant. I mean, on my time off for fun, I like to find places to do.
Yep.
Sometimes I don't have the means to do it, but it's always good. Just like I want to go to the falls. I want to do. That's my fun thing is social media, looking up stuff, doing research, helping other people. Like I helped a driver yesterday. He said, "Well, where can I go?" And I said, "Well, I'm not from this area, but let's Google it." And I Googled it, and he said, "Oh, that sounds interesting." So we both went together, and we had a blast. Meeting new people. That's another thing I like. Go ahead.
And that's always great. I've had a couple people send me some messages here. Some suggestions are Moab, Utah, the Columbia River Canyon or Gorge up there, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I actually recently did a load up in that area, and there's just some beautiful areas out there. Some of the scenic overlooks on I-80 when you're coming out through the Parlays Canyon Summit area. There's a few you can get trucks into. Absolutely gorgeous. And, I take some photographs myself, and sometimes when I have 30 minutes, I'll see something, let me go grab a camera and get a picture of this flower with the road in the background with the trucks on it, or different things like that, or some night photography. It's just what you have some time for. We're kind of running low on time. Ken Freeman just sent a message in here a minute ago and actually has suggested a video that he has put up on YouTube. It's called Poets, Trucks, and Trains. It's about Alex Taylor. He's called the poster child for getting out of the truck and doing things, kind of an inspiration for a lot of people. So, there's a lot of drivers out there. I know quite a few drivers who will put even owner-operators who will put a bike or a folding bike in or on the back of their truck to make it a little easier for them to get around. Maybe look around the truck stop, see if there's a few drivers who want to get together or to catch a lift someplace or things like that. So there's definitely ways to get out there a little bit. Hey, Christine, we've got less than a minute. Do you have any thoughts here you'd like to share before we go?
Moab is a beautiful place to stop. I've spent many nights up there, right on the shoulder of the road. It's a beautiful place to sleep. Food, every state has a particular food that you will fall in love with, depending on your taste, of course. And, Tom, I find food everywhere.
Amen.
Just depends, man. What you really love. Chicken wings. Jacksonville, Florida's calling my name. Chicken wings.
Yep, you've told me about that. We'll have to do a show here sometime soon, maybe just on food coming up, but we're going to have to go here soon. Flo's yelling at me, telling me it's time to get out of here. And, we don't want Flo telling us to kiss her grits. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. I think we've had some fun here tonight. Had some ideas for ways to get some fun, to look for some things out the road. Maybe you got some inspiration to get out of that truck. Stay tuned for Taillights coming up here with the Bombs and Clutch Time Sports after them. We'll be back here with more Keep On Talking Live next week on tncradio.live. Signing out, folks. Take care.
Chicken, trucking, finger licking, trying to keep it in between the lines. Bird dogs are hunting, straight pipes are puffing. I'm loving this diesel life. County Mountie in the middle, think I just peed a little. Glad I ain't got no panties on. Don't need no bugs on my glass, bears on my ass. Pop singer singing country songs. Chicken trucking, big wheels they're humming. High rate of fuel consumption, missing mama, needing loving, rolling with a wailing sound. Running like a southern shaker, I don't need no 40 acres to turn this rig around. I'm jacked up like a Chevy, but ain't heading to the levee. Lord have mercy sakes alive. On this high step and double clutching, gear jamming, chicken trucking, old school outlaw ride. It's a two-sticking, tooth-picking, possum grinning, coffee sipping, roadshow passing through your town. A rambling gypsy on a road with 18 on the floor and 18 pounding on the ground. I don't need to see bubblegum machine, blue lights flashing bright. On this highball and skins are crawling, 6 days without my darling, gonna make it home tonight. Clucking, chicken trucking, big wheels they're humming. High rate of fuel consumption, missing mama, needing loving, rolling with a wailing sound. Running like a southern shaker, I don't need no 40 acres to turn this rig around. I'm jacked up like a Chevy, but ain't heading to the levee. Lord have mercy sakes alive. On this high step and double clutching, gear jamming, chicken trucking, old school outlaw ride. Chicken trucking, big wheels they're humming. High rate of fuel consumption, missing mama, needing loving, rolling with a wailing sound. I'm running like a southern shaker, I don't need no 40 acres to turn this rig around. I'm jacked up like a Chevy, but ain't heading to the levee. Lord have mercy sakes alive. on this club clucking, chicken trucking, big wheels there are humming, highballing, skins are crawling, 6 days without my darling, high stepping, double clutching, gear jamming, chicken trucking, old school outlaw ride, outlaw ride, ooh, outlaw ride.
Hey, rideshare drivers and gig economy workers, the host of TNCRadio.live, the Rideshare Rodeo Podcast, and the Gig Economy Podcast come together for news, talk, music, stories, laughs, and more. We're live Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, right here on TNCRadio.live.
TNCRadio.live, your commercial driver navigation station.